Good morning. I'm glad to see you today. Hope you're doing well. Come on with us to Luke chapter 2. Let's talk about Jesus as they found him in the temple. His parents found him in the temple. He's 12 years old. Let's key in on verse 52 this morning. It says that Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and men. You have four attributes that the Lord increased in. Let's talk about those four things. These are things that every child needs. All right? Think about that idea. Jesus was just 12 years old at this point. Says he increased in stature. We'll start there. He got bigger. He got stronger. He needed someone to see to his physical necessities, if you will. In 1 Timothy chapter 5 at verse 8, it says that if a man does not take care of his own, he is worse than an infidel. He's worse than an unbeliever. Fellas, we have a responsibility to take care of those who depend upon us. That is a God-given responsibility. Jesus increased in stature, but he also increased in wisdom. You might think about the verse that talks about bringing children up in the training and admonition of the Lord. Book smarts can be a good thing, but we're not talking about book smarts here. We're talking about wisdom, and we're not talking about the wisdom of the world. We're talking about the true wisdom that is from above. It is a good thing to increase in stature, to be as strong as an ox. But if you're as dumb as an ox, that's not a good thing, right? We need to increase in wisdom, and Jesus did exactly that. A lot of parents, all they worry about their kids, all they worry about is what their kids eat, drink, and what they will wear, right? And they want them to be popular. We'll talk more about that here in a second. We need to instill wisdom in our children, and we need to pursue wisdom ourselves, listening to the Lord. It also says he grew in favor with God, is what it says. You think about that idea. Jesus increased in favor with his Father. Proverbs says even a child is known by his deeds, whether what he does is pure and right. Think about that idea of growing in knowledge. There's a verse that says we are to be growing in grace and knowledge. It's a wonderful thing to grow in knowledge and to become wiser. But we also grow in grace. We grow in favor with God. As we grow, as we learn more about him, as we imitate him more and more, as we increase in stature and wisdom, being brought up in the training and admonition of the Lord, we grow in favor with God. That's what Jesus did. That's what we need to do as well. It also says, though, that he increased in favor with man. Doesn't mean it's a popularity contest, but how do people see you? How were people, if he increased in favor with man, how were people seeing him? Would they see him as honest? Would they see him as polite? Would they see him as respectful? As they saw him walking in integrity, if you will, they would respect him more and more. I think that might be what it's talking about as he grew in favor not just with God but also with man. We need to do the same. Jesus would go on and he would be subject to them, to his father and mother. Remember what he says. He says, I must be about my Father's business. So what that means is apparently it was his Father's business that he go and be subject to them. He was still 12 years old. There would be 18 more years before he would begin his ministry and the signs. Hope you enjoyed this study today. God bless you. Be a blessing to others. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Thanks for studying with us.